Welcome to You've Been Read. It has been a while. I started recording this series at the beginning of the year after being inspired to commune with the ancestors and also select some celebrities that I wanted to read. The last recording was Nina Simone in February, and Spirit pumped the brakes. The person I was supposed to read was James Baldwin. Right after, it was Nina Simone and James Baldwin. And after Nina Simone, just shit happened. Life happens. And I needed to regroup, recenter, get grounded, get aligned, and really think about my intention. And so I'm back. Welcome to You've Been Read, a different kind of tarot podcast show where each week I choose a celebrity and offer a reading. I ask the cards, the ancestors, spirit guides to send answers to the questions that plague us, to send messages from Egun, from spirit, from them directly. So today our reading is for James Baldwin, and so I am calling forth James Baldwin energy, creativity, love, that ancestral wisdom, and creative wisdom. I was inspired because James Baldwin's birthday was August 2nd. He's a Leo, a fellow Leo, and so it is right under this. I'm doing a James Baldwin reading, and then after that I'm doing my Santera scopes, and then after that I'm doing my client readings. Do you love my hat? Those of you who listening can't see, but I love hats. I'm a hat person. I take that after my mama, who I love so much. And so yeah, you've been read. So let's start. Let's get into it. What do I want to say about James Baldwin? Born August 2nd, 1924, Harlem, New York City. Harlem! Died December 1st, 1987. He was 63. James Baldwin, what I know is James Baldwin spent a lot of time living in France. And my understanding is that James Baldwin left the United States to go to France because shit was just so fucked up here. And he could not deal with the racism of this nation. Not that there wasn't or isn't racism in France. There was a freedom and liberation as a gay black man that he could live freely in France in ways that he could not here. Right? That's my own sort of feeling about James Baldwin. Calling James Baldwin into the space. Wikipedia says James Arthur Baldwin, born August 2nd. Let's get the cards ready because I didn't, where's my deck? James Baldwin, did you steal my deck? Hello? What I love about me is that I am so real. How am I starting this reading and my deck isn't near me? That is crazy. Yo, family, this is hilarious. My cards were right next to me. What is going on here? Oh my. They were right here all along. It happens. We not scripted out here in these streets. We not. I already mojube, right? So I already prayed to Moyuba Olofi, Moyuba Olorum, Moyuba Lodumare, and asked for blessings from my people, my tribe, my ancestors. And this reading is not for James Arthur Baldwin. It is from James Arthur Baldwin, right? That's what we're doing. We are asking James Baldwin to show up today, and I got dressed for James Baldwin. See the hat and everything. What inspired me also was not just that it's James Baldwin's birthday, right? August 2nd. But also there was some jazz playing. My upstairs neighbor, who I love so much, this gorgeous black man who lives upstairs, has been playing since like 7 in the morning, the most delicious jazz. And I sort of felt, I mean, I don't know if James Baldwin loved jazz, but I felt like James Baldwin loved jazz. And felt like he was like, okay, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about creativity. I want to talk to you about freedom. I want to talk to you about racism. I want to talk to you about some things. So a message from James Arthur Baldwin, born August 2nd, 1924, pidiendo que James Arthur Baldwin, nacido el 2 de agosto de 1924, que venga a traernos mensajes y consejos para este momento. James Arthur Baldwin was an American novelist, playwright, essayist, poet, and activist. His essays, as collected in Notes of a Native Son, published in 1955, explore intricacies of racial, sexual, and class distinctions in Western society, most notably in regard to the mid-20th century United States. Some of Baldwin's essays are book length, including The Fire Next Time, published in 1963, No Name in the Street, published in 1972, and The Devil Finds Work, published in 1976. An unfinished manuscript, Remember This House, was expanded and adapted for cinema as the Academy Award nominated documentary film I Am Not Your Negro, 2016. One of his novels, If Beale Street Could Talk, was adapted into an Academy Award winning dramatic film of the same name in 2018, directed and produced by Barry Jenkins. Baldwin's novels, short stories, and plays fictionalize fundamental personal questions and dilemmas amid complex social and psychological pressures. Themes of masculinity, sexuality, race, and class intertwine to create intricate narratives that run parallel with some of the major political movements toward social change in mid-20th century America, such as the Civil Rights Movement and the Gay Liberation Movement. As such, Baldwin's protagonists are often, but not exclusively, African American, while gay and bisexual men also frequently feature as protagonists in his literature. These characters often face internal and external obstacles in their search for social and self-acceptance. That's going to be one of the questions that we're looking for, this idea of social and self-acceptance, that journey to self-acceptance. Such dynamics are prominent in Baldwin's second novel, Giovanni's Room, written in 1956, well before the gay liberation movement. You ready? I'm excited and a little bit nervous. I think also I wanted to be ready. I wanted to feel adequate enough, right? Because we all dabble in a little feeling inadequate and self-imposter syndrome. But today I'm feeling myself, and I'm feeling very adequate. I'm feeling very ready. I'm feeling very chosen. I'm feeling very capable to receive messages from James Baldwin with all of that arrogance that it would require, and humility, and grace, and love, and respect for James Baldwin. I will open up with a quote by James Baldwin. People can't unhappily invent their mooring posts. their lovers and their friends any more than they can invent their parents. Life gives these and also takes them away, and the great difficulty is to say yes to life. Hang on a second, family. Another quote. This is from an essay called The Creative Process by James Baldwin from Creative America, Ridge Press, 1962. Perhaps the primary distinction of the artist is that he must actively cultivate that state which most men necessarily must avoid, the state of being alone. That all men are, when the chips are down, alone, is a banality. A banality because it is very frequently stated, but very rarely on the evidence believed. Most of us are not compelled to linger with the knowledge of our aloneness, for it is a knowledge that can paralyze all action in this world. There are forever swamps to be drained, cities to be created, mines to be exploited, children to be fed. None of these things can be done alone, but the conquest of the physical world is not man's only duty. He's also enjoined to conquer the great wilderness of himself. The precise role of the artist, then, is to illuminate that darkness, blaze roads through that vast forest, so that we will not, in all our doing, lose sight of its purpose, which is, after all, to make the world a more human dwelling place. I'm going to leave that there, start our reading, and I'm going to close from this very same essay. So we are asking James Baldwin to come and speak to us about what's coming up for us. I am an artist. Yes, I'm a tarot reader. Yes, I am a priestess. Yes, I am a spiritual student. Yes, I am a mother. Yes, I am a lover. Yes, I am a friend. Yes, I am a daughter. I am many things, but I am an artist. I am a writer. That is my passion. That is what I'm here to do. When I divine using the tarot, that is part of my religious life, my spiritual life that I share because I know it's a gift. But I am an artist first. I am a writer. That is what I'm called to do. And all of these other tools that I have are intended to just add to my armor, to my spiritual toolkit. But my artistry is where it's at. It's who I am. And so I'm hoping to hear some messages from James Baldwin this morning about that, about our art, about our craft, about our purpose, about whatever comes up. And so let's go. 6 cards already jumped out. 7, 8, how many cards? How many cards? 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. He died at 63. 6 plus 3, 9. Mafere fun chango, mafere fun elegua, mafere fun ochosi, mafere fun ogun, mafere fun oya. Let's go. We have Los Ibeji, opening with Los Ibeji. We have the 4 of Cuatro de Cocos, viene siendo the 4 of Cups. 9 de Cañas, the 9 of Swords. The King of Cups, the Ace of Cups, the 5 of Pentacles, the 3 of Swords, the 4 of Pentacles, and closes with Inle. All right. Let's see. Let's see. James Baldwin. What do you want us to know today? What do you want us to know today? What do you want from me? What do you want from me? Okay. The Magician. Los ibegi, los himagua. Maferefu ni begi, maferefu los himagua. The twins. The Magician card is all about power and attraction. James Baldwin wrote a lot about power, specifically the ways in which Black people historically have been oppressed, and their power, an attempt to strip them of their power, right? And so the message here is about taking action. The message here from James Baldwin is for us to know that our power can't be taken from us. Money can't take our power. White people cannot take our power. White supremacy cannot take our power, because we were born with it. We have inherited it. The kingdom was already given to us at birth. And so we are being called, he, James Baldwin, is calling us to action. To use our art, to use our craft, to use our skill set to move forward. And I receive that. I receive that. You know, James Baldwin is one of our ancestors, and he's saying, I left this body of work for you to analyze, question, and write your own. Like, to see yourself reflected in my pages, to see your majesty, to see your talent, to see your brilliance, to see your beauty. And so you are the magician. He wants you to know that you are a magician, that we can transform and make our life into whatever it is we desire. And if we can't make it here, then we can get the fuck on out of here. Period. Because we're not going to let them kill us in these streets. We are not going to let them kill us in these streets. And there will be people who will argue that, why should I leave? This is my home. James Baldwin decided that there were other ways that he could fight, and that his energies would be better spent having conversations with people who were willing to listen. And I think that oftentimes where we lose the battle is that we are fighting against people who are unwilling to listen, who are unwilling to make change. And so we got to keep it pushing. And so the magician, you are the alchemist. You are the motherfucking alchemist. So get up and move. Know that you have power. Achid. I am already sweating. And that was only the first card, James Baldwin. Whew. We are on the Four of Cups. Contemplation and apathy. There was a quote that I read just this week. Let me see if I can find it. It was from a brother, a friend, JP. He posted a James Baldwin quote this week that really struck a chord, and I want to share that with you. It is from Notes of a Native Son. So that any writer looking back over even so short a span of time as I am here forced to assess, finds that the things which hurt him and the things which helped him cannot be divorced from each other. He could be helped in a certain way only because he was hurt in a certain way. And his help is simply to be enabled to move from one conundrum to the next. One is tempted to say he moves from one disaster to the next. End quote. We are forced to assess the things that hurt us. And the Four of Cups is about contemplation and apathy, the ways that they have hurt us. You know, people will say, get over it. Why black people still talking about slavery? That happened so long ago. Why people still talking about, when we know people would never say to Jewish people, why are you still talking about the Holocaust? What people fail to recognize is that the transatlantic, the slavery, that movement, that time, that the slave trade, that was not just yesterday. That was our Holocaust. That is trauma that we have inherited. And so we are in a time of contemplation. Absolutely. And James Baldwin is asking us to really look at everything that we have been through historically and to rely on the tools that we have used to pull ourselves up and out of it. Because we have a very specific, we have an ancestral wisdom that the slave owners, the colonizers tried to strip us of, that they can never take. And so while we may be moving with some apathy and feeling like, damn, we still being killed out here in these streets, we are being called to find ways to connect to that power. To save ourselves, because we are in several wars at the moment. And how are we readying ourselves for that war, right? The Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is about gratitude and luxury. Gratitude and luxury. We are worthy. We are worthy. We are worthy. Like, it is not frivolous for us to want the finer things and to live lavishly and to spend money on spiritual things, on, $65 on a tarot deck or $500 on singing bowls. If that's what it takes to help us to stay grounded and connected to spirit, do and use whatever it is that you need, and don't let anyone tell you that you are frivolous. Let us be grateful to our ancestors because they have taught us. They have taught us how to make music. How to make music out of anything. Out of anything. Out of fruit baskets. The original drum. Right? gratitude. We have a lot to be grateful for. I think right now, let us be grateful for our minds. Let us be grateful for our breath. Let us be grateful for our community that lifts us. Let us be grateful for the movements that fight for us to have rights. All of us. Let us fight for each other. Let us be grateful. Let us be grateful for the ways that we are guided and protected. James Baldwin is here showing up as a king. The King of Cups, a visionary, entrepreneur. Some of you out there, this is the time. Some of you out there are unemployed right now, being called to be an entrepreneur. Oh, I just posted at my Gun. I just posted Issa Rae on my IG page yesterday at a Women in Film Awards ceremony, and it caught just like an ending bite where she says, entrepreneur till I die, I deserve this, bye. And bounced. Some of you are meant to be entrepreneurs, and James Baldwin is saying this is the time. This is the time to take your craft in your hands, to self-publish. If you're waiting for that book deal that may never come, self-publish. If you're waiting for that magazine to say yes to your articles, self-publish. Put it on your blog. Don't wait for the world to tell you, here's where you get your value from. See your value in you. In waking up every day and doing what you love because you exist. James Baldwin showing up as a king, saying you are a visionary, and our vision is limitless. We are without bounds. There is nothing standing in our way. There is nothing blocking us. Things will attempt to, but you are a visionary, and you are meant to start a business, start that craft, learn that thing, get up, keep it moving. Ace of Cups. El As de Cocos. Compassion and intimacy. Compassion and intimacy. I am here forced to assess the things that hurt me and the things that help me. I cannot be divorced one from the other. Things have hurt us. Things are hurting us. Things have violated us. Things are continuing to violate us. Things have raped us and are continuing to rape us. Things have killed us and are continuing to kill us. And so we are being called to really to spend a lot of time alone. To spend a lot of time alone doing some introspection, to be the hermit. I'm surprised the hermit didn't come up in the reading. I'm surprised that the hermit didn't come up, because this is a time of contemplation, of having compassion for yourself, of loving on yourself. Compassion is, when you show compassion to someone, you are saying to them, I see you, I value you, I feel you, I love you, I want you to know how important you are. And so we're being called to have that for each other. I mean, white people could do good to show some compassion for the world right now. That's why I think we're asking from white people to have compassion. Like, can you connect to some compassion? Because if you don't connect, you cannot say that you are loving and watch George Floyd or Sandra Bland or Breonna Taylor be murdered. Where's the compassion and humanity in saying, yo, my sister, my brother was brutally killed. And so white people, you being called to really connect to compassion. Like this love that you show your tribe and you show your people, how are you showing that to all people? So white people are being called to look in the mirror. Black and brown people, indigenous people, we are being called to look towards our people for the support that we need. Because for a long time we have been waiting for them to say, you are worthy. We see you here. Here's your seat at the table. You finally have worked hard enough. 500 years was not enough. You finally made it. Nobody's waiting for that. So connect to your tribe. Connect to your tribe. We're not going to pour out. We're not interested in changing the minds of those who are anti-black, those who are racist, those filled with hate. We are not here to get love us, love us, love us, beg to beg. We're not begging anyone for anything. What we are doing is connecting with our people. We are connecting to our ancestral wisdom. We are connecting to our egun. We are connecting to our warrior spirits, the warriors that we carry and walk with us, who have never abandoned us, because we know how to do that. Let's spend time with those we are intimate with to get the things that we need. And let's stop looking outwards for them to give us what we believe we need. Five of Pentacles. Because this card right here is all about insecurity, poverty, and worry. We waiting for all the white people to finally put us on. To say, you know what? After George Floyd, man, every single corporation, they put out a mission statement. Now they're looking at diversity. Now they're looking at having more black women and black men and gay people on the team. Now, what does it take? And so the sad truth is that this insecurity, poverty, and worry is rooted in uncertainty. It is not a coincidence that I intended to call on James Baldwin back in February during Black History Month. I wanted to do that, but then the pandemic happened the month later. And so now it makes sense that James Baldwin is saying all of that needed to happen. Black Lives Movement, on full force. For us to sit with, it's also part of our DNA, this insecurity, worry, and poverty, because everything has been taken from us. Everything has been attempted to be taken from us, because nothing has been taken from us. We hold the true power that folks want from us, they will never get. Back when the colonizers wanted us to worship their gods, when they tried to strip us of our religions and our language, and we were still hiding it, and we were still, we syncretized, we used their Catholic saints and we made them African gods. Back then we had one up. We've always had one up. We've always been ahead of the curve. We've always been the trendsetters. We've always been the move makers, right? That insecurity and that poverty and that worry, we have to allow it to wash over us. Because the King of Cups is here to tell us that our cup is overflowing. Our cup is overflowing. We will be victorious. We are gonna go into business for ourselves. We are doing it for ourselves, for us, by us. FUBU, for us, by us. That is not new. That is not new. And so, yes, we have some insecurity, we have some worry, and we are worried about money, where we're going to eat in our businesses, and whether or not we're doing enough, and failing and losing jobs and endings. There's a lot of endings right now. There's a lot of loss right now. safe, and we are provided for, and we are abundant, period. And so let's call on our ancestors to help us, to get us out of these jams, this worrying about money. Let's create an altar of abundance. I'm gonna post something. Somebody remind me in the comments. Altar for abundance. Alicia, when are you sharing altar of abundance? We're gonna create an altar of abundance. 3 of Swords. Yeah. The poverty, the insecurity, the worry, leading to the 3 of Swords is heartbreak, separation, and grief. So these cards are absolutely connected. And also the 4 of Pentacles, stability and security. So here we have the 5 is talking about how we're feeling insecure. The 3 of Swords is here to tell us that we are feeling devastated right now, heartbreak. Our heart is broken. We're dealing with a separation and ending of some kind and grief. And then following that is the 4 of Pentacles that is saying we're moving towards stability. And so here's the message from James Baldwin. We know grief. We know pain. We know loss. We know poverty. We know worry. We know hurt. We fucking know that. We know what it is to lose someone. We know death. We know murder. We know suicide. We know mental illness. We know addiction. And so right now, shit is at an all-time high. People are devastated. I personally, Alicia, receiving messages from James Baldwin, am terrified of all the loss that's coming, that all the loss that has come, but the loss that is coming. And so my message is for those of you who are struggling right now, those of you who are suffering right now, know that at the end, at the other side is stability and security. You unfortunately had to go through all of that so that you could learn something from that. We are paying karmic debts. Our ancestors came, they were brutally brought here, lived through horrific experiences, which we have inherited in our DNA, and now are living in our own hell, and uncertain times during a pandemic. We have the power. We have the power. We are secure, we are safe, we are stable because we have an ancestral wisdom that we could connect to and pray to and honor and believe in. Where is your faith? Ye of little faith, where is your faith? Because we close with disaster. Disaster. The Tower card. Upheaval, uprisings, wars, deaths. The Tower is crumbling down. I love the Tower card. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite cards. Our tower is crumbling. Of course, our homes are unstable. They're falling apart. Shit is breaking down. Communication is failing epically. We are breaking down so that we can be built up. Our tower is burning down to ashes so we can rise like the phoenix. It is time. It is time. It is our time. It is time to take action. It is time to move. It is time to believe. It is time to connect to our gifts. It is time to stop depending on others and rely on ourselves and our tribe. Stay close to our tribe. Maferefun inle. Maferefun inle. The Orisha inle is the Orisha of health and medicinal healing. He is the deity of health and medicine, the physician to other deities, hunter of the land and sea, regarded as the patron of homosexual and transgender people How about that? My Fun Egun, James Baldwin, I see you. I see you. Mm. We are being called to hear, to see. Remind me to post about Inle. Walter Inle. Somebody remind me. Our tower is crumbling. But that is a good sign, because in our case, what comes down is absolutely rising up. We are on the come up right now, family. And so believe that. James Baldwin, Mafedefun Egun, thank you for those messages. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to continue reading from this essay, The Creative Process. It is for this reason that all societies have battled with the incorrigible disturber of the peace, the artist. I doubt that future societies will get on with him any better. The entire purpose of society is to create a bulwark against the inner and the outer chaos in order to make life bearable and to keep the human race alive. And it is absolutely inevitable that when a tradition has been evolved, whatever the tradition is, the people in general will suppose it to have existed from before the beginning of time and will be most unwilling and indeed unable to conceive of any changes in it. They do not know how they will live without those traditions that have given them their identity. Their reaction when it is suggested that they can or that they must change, because that is what we're calling for, a huge change. The response is panic. And we see this panic, I think, everywhere in the world today, from the streets of New Orleans to the grisly battleground of Algeria. And a higher level of consciousness among the people is the only hope we have, now or in the future, of minimizing human damage. The dangers of being an American artist are not greater than those of being an artist anywhere else in the world, but they are very particular. These dangers are produced by our history. They rest on the fact that in order to conquer this continent, the particular aloneness of which I speak, the aloneness in which one discovers that life is tragic and therefore unutterably beautiful, could not be permitted, and that this prohibition is typical of all emergent nations, will be proved. I have no doubt in many ways during the next 50 years, this continent now is conquered, but our habits and our fears remain. And in the same way that to become a social human being, one modifies and suppresses and ultimately, without great courage, lies to oneself about all one's interior, uncharted chaos, so have we, as a nation, modified or suppressed and lied about all the darker forces in our history. We know, in the case of the person, that whoever cannot tell himself the truth about his past is trapped in it, is immobilized in the prison of his undiscovered self. This is also true of nations. We know how a person is in such a paralysis, is unable to assess either his weaknesses or his strengths, and how frequently, indeed, he mistakes the one for the other. And this, I think, we do. We are the strongest nation in the Western world, but this is not for the reasons that we think. It is because we have an opportunity that no other nation has in moving beyond the old world concepts of race and class and caste to create. Finally, we must have had in mind when we first began speaking of the New World. But the price of this is a long look backward when we came and an unflinching assessment of the record. For an artist, the record of that journey is most clearly revealed in the personalities of the people the journey produced. Societies never know it, But the war of an artist with his society is a lover's war, and he does, at his best, what lovers do, which is to reveal the beloved to himself, and with that revelation, to make freedom real. That's a whole word. I close with this quote. You have to decide who you are and force the world to deal with you, not with its idea of you. Oof, family. You've been read. You've been read. Welcome back. It felt good to be back. Family, if you have any recommendations for anyone you would like me to commune with, do a reading for, hit me up. Hit me up. Find me on IG at La Santera. Family, what I wish for me, I wish for you. Have a beautiful day. Peace.